Yeah, we have a recorded session. Perfect. All right. So, as always, on this office hours, we have two main things. First of one is uh, talking through your difficulties, your doubts, your problems that you might have occurred as you are going on with a program. And second one is gonna be just rambling about new findings, about new processes. So, at the very beginning, let me ask you, guys, how is program going for you? Do you have any difficulties? Do you have something that you like to chat about?
I'm still going through the program, but my question is, how do you like show just the deliverables on your portfolio?
Show deliverables in the portfolio.
Yeah, for
Well,
case studies,
yeah, it kind of depends on which deliverables are you talking about.
like personas or like the diamond method or like competitive analysis, like those things.
Yeah, I don't think people care about this stuff that much anymore. Like, the thing is, core thing with a specific case study is to tell a good story, And the worst thing like the worst folios I see are the folios that are just so boring that you don't even want to read them. You don't even want to see them. Actually, like yesterday, I had a chat with this designer from Shopify, and I asked him about recommendations of what one might do to make a good portfolio for current times. He's a senior product designer in Shopify. He's really good, and he said, like, don't make me read. Don't make me read. Don't make me scroll through the boring case study. Because the thing is, we always, I mean, I myself, I'm guilty of saying like, you have 6 seconds for your portfolio to grab attention, right? But while it is true, that the attention span is very short, at the same time we're going to the movies, which these days becomes longer and longer. It's like The Brutalist was like, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that. And a lot of movies are over 2 hours easily, while they used to be an hour. So the thing is, if you have something interesting, people are willing to spend time and learn more. But one thing that's usually not interesting is persona, is wireframes, and is all this, I would say, process, because it's the same thing that I can read on portfolio of person A, person B, person C, person D. Like, it's all the same. It's literally as if you were reading the same book over and over. Maybe it's interesting for the first time, but when you're a recruiter and you're watching like thousandth portfolio, and it's still the same thing. It's just boring. So first thing I would say is for the senior designer. I'm not talking about the junior stuff, okay? This is a big difference over here. For the mid slash senior designers, first of all, I would make sure that the process is interesting. Because if the process is not interesting, it is the same process where you're going and you're doing the same thing, where you're building the same persona with a lot of charts and then a lot of bar progress bars. And then if you have the same SWOT analysis and then you have the same wireframes, this is so boring that there's no way that you can show it in an interesting manner, pretty much. The only thing that probably would save a work like that is just it being beautiful. If it's like exceptionally beautiful, you know? Because when it's so beautiful that you don't need to explain anything, that's good enough. That's just a portfolio of a strong UI focused designer. And in portfolios like that, you don't even need to show those deliverables. Nobody cares about them. Just make it pretty, right? But if you're aiming into more, let's say the whole package, right? Uh, then I would say, first of all, I would make sure that the process was interesting and maybe not follow the same thing. Let's say you're talking about competition analysis, right? So maybe your competition analysis was actually interesting and you found something really cool in the process, right? So there are two ways to do it. First one is I'm sure I talked about it in the program, but I'm gonna show it here too. If the process is the focus of the case study, I would just write it. The same as I did over here. The new design process, I mean, in the next, I think the next one is actually better as an example. Where is it? Okay, that's good. That's good as well. So what I did over here, I was just showing exactly what I did. Like I did all this research. You see, this is a screenshot of files. I just show, look, there was a lot of files. This is everything that user actually has to know, right? And then I showed that each file had executive summary, So I kind of did a zoom, let's say, on one of these files, and I said, okay, I look just at this part, then what is the source? I do some memes so it's more interesting. And some screenshots like that. This is just screenshot. And what I did is in the background I had open Figma, so the background is gray, So this way it just kind of looks nicer. And but this is just a regular screenshot I did in macOS. And and this is a screenshot from Figma from the process as well. So as you can see, it's very raw. It's very, I would say, not technical, not no anything special in it, and the story is carried with the words over here. Okay. Now let me show you the different folio of Anya. What was the name of that girl from
Carolis Costas?
No, no, the one with the one
Give me any
Spanish,
hint, please.
Spanish.
Eva Sanchez.
Yes, thank you, Eva Sanchez. Well, we look at Eva portfolio. Look, you enter. This is Eva Sanchez, interaction designer based in Barcelona, blah blah blah. And we open one case of hers, and it's just beautiful animations and pictures, and there is no single word about the process because it doesn't matter. Over here, what matters is that it's beautiful and that it's handcrafted and that, look at it. Come on. It's beautiful, right? You don't need to explain anything over here. So these are two ends of a spectrum. Over here, we have one case study that is very process focused, right? And it's pretty much words with screenshots. So we show it like that. And over here, we have the other end of spectrum where the work is just simply beautiful. And this is everything you gotta know, like there's a small description over here, but I mean, you can tell it's purely for aesthetic reasons over here. It's not like a really valuable information, I would say, right? So the average case study, which is in between these two. Oh my God, what was the name of this portfolio with Dropbox?
Um, I
Oh,
believe
which one? Yeah.
mm, it was either one second. I will send you a link. One
Yeah.
second. I have her saved. Hmm.
Have to dig through
Yeah, I mean
millions of
it's in the
Chloe
program.
no, it's Angela Lee Angela. I will send you the exact link over
Angela
here.
Lee?
I will send it to you on
Okay,
Discord.
okay.
This one.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes. Okay, so over here, as you can see, this one is also text heavy, right? Because this is a very process oriented element over here. But if we go to, let's say, the best portfolios, designers, product designers, let's see, product designers, and maybe we go into this, and oh my God, what is this? So annoying. Um, okay, this is some designer over here. And you know what I like about this folio over here? I mean, I see it for the first time, so I'm just gonna give it a rough take. I don't have to read, and everything is interactive. Look at it. It's fun. You see it? Nice. Linear. Oh, so Arc, Marco, Notion, one-on-one meeting notes, Figma, Webflow, Linear. So I kind of can get a grasp of what this person does. But look over here, it's very visual. It's very fun to it's very fun to use. Although I would like to understand a little bit more about it. Um, .os. Let's go. .os, a context-aware OS for more personal computer. This is your computer. This is your brain. You do this with your computer. Blah 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 blah. Okay, did your computer can. Okay, yeah. So, what I like here is that this is very unconventional opening over here. I think it could be crafted a little bit better than it is, but this hook is interesting. You see, while I'm looking through this, it's something that I look at it, I'm like, this is actually something different. This is interesting, and actually, I want to find out more. Of course, there's walls of text, which is yeah, which is something that probably not a lot of people will dig into. Um, I think if your process was really interesting, I would, lean towards this side. If your result is beautiful, I would lean more towards this. And
Yeah, I send you
yeah.
this is the portfolio of product owner of Figma Make. And it's just fun. As you can see, it's not
Yeah.
something complicated when it comes to interactions, but all of the details over here are fun. Just on this basically first scroll.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. There's
Like look at those yeah, over here. Those all have a meaning.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's that's yeah, that's actually cool. Look at them having fun. Uh, and what's going on over here? Let's open up one case. I'm gonna cost our machine. Okay, so there is like a description of the process, you gotta include a lot of words if you wanna explain the process. Right? And the in the course, the case studies that I was showing, they're kind of in between these two edge cases. These two in between these two edge cases. So the hook needs to be nice and fun. Like, I mean, this hook over here, I mean, this breaks the pattern very obviously. As I'm saying, even though it's not the best craft that I've seen, it's still fun. It's still nice. And then while you show deliverables, I would just make it nice to explore as we hear. The deep research was done. Boom. I'm showing the whole scope. And then I'm kind of zooming in into the single one, showing exactly what it was, explaining why this is important, and going further. So yeah, I think when it comes to showing deliverables, that would be my approach. What do you think about it?
I'm going to review these portfolios, but yes, thanks for sharing your insight. It's very helpful.
Sure. Okay, let me check if I'm still, am I still sharing? Yes. Do I know how to stop sharing? No. Hmm. Okay, I have no idea how to stop sharing on my screen. Hmm. Share settings. Okay, I
Don't
guess
you
we're,
have it in the toolbar at the bottom?
yeah, but on the, if I click end, will it end the conversation? Or,
I believe so.
oh, well, let's check.
I
Meeting, no. Oh, I feel like a grandpa. Yeah, all right. I guess we're just gonna, oh, stop sharing. Perfect. Okay. So, these two, I mean, it's not that even you need to, review these two. I mean, of course, it can be helpful, but it's more about understanding this spectrum where you are, and your project. Is your project a visual heavy element? Lean more towards showing and not talking too much, And is your project um, process heavy? And there was a lot of research, a lot of maybe competition analysis, as you say. Explain what you did, but also explain why this is important. Why should they care? And explain why this certain method was chosen. It's kind of like there is this idea of guiding policy included in the course. And I think if you go with this guiding policy and coherent actions, it always works.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. All right, guys. So, anybody else has some, questions or something you'd like to just chat about regarding the course? I'm here. I'm open. I can answer all the questions that you might have. Okay. So then I'll tell you about the quite interesting shift that I see when it comes to Figma. At the very beginning, where when we were starting this program, I had this notion that we as designers, we're not probably gonna be using Figma anymore because like everything is just faster in Claude and everything is just better with Claude. And so far, because I'm doing this podcast, and there will be like we're launching it next week or in 2 weeks, so the chapters will be live. But what I noticed is that pretty much every designer from a big company, every good designer that I know now, doesn't use Figma for designing anymore. That's very interesting that not a single uh, let's say designer, okay, maybe one, but most of the designers that I talk with, they don't use Figma for designing anymore, which is like interesting. And you may say, okay, but if you have design system ready, then of course assembling these blocks with AI is easy, sure. But this is not the case in big enterprise solutions. Also, when it comes to building small, let's say, startup-y products for your friends or as a side hustle, I noticed that people are also using Cloud Code. They're not Figma. So like the whole iterate ideation and execution process moved over there. So my first conclusion was naturally, okay, so this probably means that we're not going to be using Figma anymore. And people who still use it are kind of left behind, are kind of archaic in some way, right? Because it's just slower, it's just worse in every way. Okay, maybe not every, but like 90% of ways why it's worse. And I thought, okay, There is no reason to keep the subscription for Figma. But then, of course, there were voices like, okay, but if you want to make a final touches, like, align the padding, align the spacing, or if you want to take care of colors, just like small details, then this is actually way easier in Figma than it is in Claude. Because in Claude, you have to explain to it what you want to do. And this is the kind of stuff that is way faster when you can do it yourself. When you can just go ahead and like click, 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 move, and do it exactly what you want to do yourself. This is faster. So my reasoning was kind of like, okay, so like 90% of work is done in Claude, and then the final 10% for those who want to is done in Figma, where you're just doing this, oh, sorry, this polishing touches. And and I thought that's it. But then I realized that a lot of designers are starting to use Figma as a documentation tool. Like because when you have fully working, let's say you are using Claude and you do everything as you want it and it looks exactly how you want it to, right? It's totally everything fully working product in Claude. There is still an incentive to move the designs from Claude into Figma. Anybody has idea why? You can shoot, you can write if you don't want to unmute. So I'm taking ideas to have a copy. Yeah, that's one good shot over there. Anybody has more ideas? Why, even if you create a fully working product in with AI, why would you move it to Figma later on?
Maybe
Yeah.
for documenting the design system. I don't know if that's part of your answer from the previous
Yeah, so
answer.
actually this answer and that what you said, Haifad, is the answer, documentation. Because look, this is when you have a fully working app, you're limited to seeing one screen at a time. If you want to check how the flow looks like, you have to click through the whole flow. If you want to check happy path or let's say edge cases, you have to click through everything and it's super time consuming to do it. And when you move the app to a Figma, you lay it out and you can, as a designer, view, for example, 20 pages at once, or you can view whole flow at once. So this is quite insane because I was thinking, okay, we don't need Figma anymore. It's unnecessary. We can do everything like that. But actually, it is still necessary, but it is right now something like a documentation tool where you simply, even though you are giving to developer a fully working prototype, you also want to give to him fully documented Figma page so you can talk about flows about specific cases. So for me, that was super interesting. That the role of Figma. Uh, yeah. So actually, we even did today with Anya. Um, look, what first thing, how do you document? First solution that you can do is you can just manually redesign it back in Figma. And this is also documentation, right? Like you're taking what Claude did and you're just, let's say, the same way designing it in a Figma. This is kind of not so fun process, I would say, because you gotta go and redesign everything. So that was kind of not the most optimal flow. But for example, today I was doing with Anya, we were doing this landing page, and what we did is that I told Claude how it should look like. We kind of generated the whole landing page, but then we were like, oh, we gotta make some edits in a text. But now editing texts inside of a Claude, that's gonna be terrible. So what we did is we used this integration and it took design from the cloud code and it ported it into Figma. So it kind of pasted it, and all the elements were like properly marked as text, as sections, like pretty much it just copied from code to Figma. And then from Figma, when we implemented all the changes, we're kind of throwing it back to the cloud, right? So this is the process we did today. But the this kind of story that I was talking about is that you are working with a cloud and then you are importing it into Figma. And then you are doing the small, details, kind of polishes like borders, distance, spacing, sizes, everything. And then you have it like, boom, this is how it should look like. If you want, you can tell Claude like, hey, Claude, I made few changes, implemented back in the in an app, in a prototype that I built. And then you have just a living documentation in a Figma and working prototype. And prototype, maybe it will go to production, or maybe developer just want to do it their own way and they will just treat it as a, let's say, preview of how it should look like and work like, and they will just do the fully rewrite the whole thing themselves. It's up to them, but but yeah, this is how handoff in big companies changes these days. So yeah, that's quite interesting.
Hi, Stan.
Yeah. Hey, hey.
Hi. I have a question, and I'm not sure if it was covered in previous office hours, but
Sure, go ahead.
so I recently attended this seminar from Nokia, and then they're just working on like a bunch of different large scale products that involve like telecommunication and that kind of stuff. And a lot of the work is done on Figma, and the documentation is on Figma, and then like they have their own backend and everything. So I just have a question about like the feasibility of transitioning all of these designs into Claude Code and then just like managing everything there, but obviously just like keeping the documentation like on Figma and that kind of thing. So like what's your take on that transition? Like, do you think those companies are gonna transition into that technology, or like how do you think it'll
Yeah,
come
yeah,
out?
yeah, man. It's they are not gonna. They already did. You know, I'm talking with people from Shopify, from Adobe, from Descript, from like big tech companies, and from startups. They are already there. It's not something that is gonna happen. Nokia, yeah, maybe they're not the most forward pushing company in this space, I would say. But every company that is known for AI push, like internal, let's say, AI policy, right? They're already there. So in this specific case, you're saying they have some project, right? And they have whole documentation done on they have whole documentation done on Figma, right? And you're asking how might their workflow change in the future?
Yeah, like they have all the designs on Figma. Every screen is done on Figma.
Yeah,
Uh,
so exactly this the way I see it is that Figma stays as a source of truth. It stays kind of like a Wikipedia, where you kind of have all the knowledge that's baked in, that this is how the platform should look like and looks like. But earlier, what we used to do is we used to generate those ideas in Figma too. Like you would sit and you were think, maybe this should look like this, maybe this should look like that, you know? And like your thinking so far normally would happen in Figma. But right now, this thinking process moved to Claude because a lot of people, before they start to design something, they like to understand the problem, right? I mean, that's what a lot of us do. It's way easier to understand the problem with Claude than with Figma, because when you get a brief or description of what you got to do, you can ask questions to it. Then you can like ask it to, let's say, search the code base or search the whole, documentation that you have for your product. So even before you start designing, Claude is already helping you. All the work is happening going on over there. And then for example, let's say you're working on a new feature, right? And you want to understand, okay, but I'm adding this new, let's say, this new, let's say, chat feature in this specific section. So I want to understand this section. You can just ask Claude about it and about all the important elements that you gotta understand, like what it does, what is the function, how it's used, stuff like that. And then what you would do is you would just start. I'm assuming a company like Nokia, they have design system, right? They're a big company. So then
Mm.
you would just start conversating like, hey, using this specific design system, build me a solution that looks like this, and you're just describing to Claude how the solution should look like to you, and you're asking it, okay, so design it, like implement it, and if you don't understand something, ask me additional questions. And then you're just building it, checking, how it works. And often, only when you have something and you have it working and clickable, when you start working and clicking, only then new ideas come to you. Like this is what Rick Rubin is saying. The work unfolds as you're working, right? The more you're doing, the more you're understanding. But I mean, it was the same with Figma, but right now it's just with a code. And how I see the current workflow is that you are kind of building this small feature locally. You're experimenting with it. In Figma, it was kind of static. Plus, I don't know you, but I hated prototyping. It was so annoying to prototype everything how you want it to prototype. Right now, you just describe how you want it to work, and it just works. And then you test it. You go through a couple of iterations. Maybe you go to the users if you have access and you go say like, "Hey guys, could you use this?" And you watch them, you watch what they do, you collect the feedback, you iterate on it, you get some final version, and by this point, you have a fully working product, let's say, right? So what you do then is depending on the company. In some companies, that would be sufficient. You would just take this and give it to developers, right? Like, hey guys, look what I made. Just yeah, take this and implement it in our solution. But in bigger companies like this Nokia and like this specific solution, they already have everything in Figma. So this is their Wikipedia, their source of truth. So what would happen is after you get this, let's say, perfect screen, you would then say, okay, this is perfect. This is how I want it to work. And then you integrate this from code into the Figma, so you get screens in Figma, and then you put it nicely, maybe add some descriptions, and it ends up as a piece of documentation, like the source of truth, how it should look like. So Figma will stay as a source of truth, but Cloud will be, let's say, the exploration space where you are thinking to kind of input the designs later on over there. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, it does. But I have a follow-up question, but
Sure.
I know that Moa asked a question as well, so I don't know if you want to
Okay, let me
answer.
check that. I'm going to move design from Claude to Figma. Do I need to use a plugin for this? Yes, there is a plugin. Anya, could you reply in a chat? What was the name of it? Because
Yes, I
there.
will write down in chat. And it was like, of course, you can create something in Claude and then move it to Figma. But one way that I used recently was HTML. to design, and it works with both like deployed websites and those like on localhost or something. So and it's free to use.
Yeah.
So
So ideally, there is supposed to be integrator from Claude to Figma directly, like the official one. But for some reason, it is not working, although they're promoting it to work. So I have no idea what's going on over there. So that's why this is, let's say, the middle step to use this. But maybe in week or two, we're gonna have the official one working.
yeah, I believe we had an issue today, mainly because like Stan was prompting the initial website, and then I was doing the work in Figma. So maybe some friction happened over here, but I guess
Yeah.
that might be this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But maybe that's it. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of point that this is the what we use right now, but soon we're gonna have even easier tools to use. So yeah, Ramesh, you had a follow-up question. We have 3 minutes. Let's go.
3 minutes. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you mentioned those big companies like Shopify are like transit are using Claude Code as well, and my question was like in the past, like there used to be like a lot of UX specialists, and I think that it's still happening, but on a smaller scale. Like there's like a job
Generalists.
for like UI designer. There's
Everybody hires for generalists these days.
oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you no longer see like job postings about like UI designer, like interaction designer, design system designers. So
You know,
like
I've heard a quote, and I think this is kind of true. In times of uncertainty, like economic stagnation, all downfall, wars, kind of violent times like that, companies do not want to make risks. And when companies do not want to make risks, they are not hiring so much. They're hiring less. And when they hire, they want to be smart about it. And they how do they make themselves smart about it? They hire generalists who they can put to one work. But if it's, first of all, they don't hire teams. They hire specialists because it's cheaper to hire one person who can do everything. And then you hire that person. And if this initiative doesn't work out, you just hire somebody who can flexibly move to the other different thing. And by hiring a specialized professional, you're kind of creating the, let's say, the trouble for yourself. Because if you hire this person for the specific thing and it doesn't work out, then what do you do? This person is not flexible enough to move to the next thing. I'm not saying that this is golden truth. I've heard this quote and I kind of like it. And I think there is some truth in it.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So, yeah, everybody, that's the office hours. Join us next week. I think we're gonna get disconnected in like a couple of seconds. Thank you for coming. Thank you for asking the questions. And remember, we're always here. We're always eager to help. If you have questions, we are here. So, yeah, have a good day, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dan.
Bye.
Bye.
And see you guys. Bye.